Hi, what's up everyone on YouTube? Now, oh yeah, this is SimGirl1721, and here's a special video that I'm making today. Now, as you may know, it's in August, and it was, this was officially, as you can tell, I'm wearing a t-shirt that says, back in my day, we had 9 planets. Can you see all that? Well, here's why I'm making this special video today, because you guys all know what happened in August of 2006, right? You all know what happened that day. That was it. And I'm gonna be honest though, I was like 16 years old now. Because this happened in this happened on August 24th, 2006 though. I was 16 years old. I remember reading about it on the newspaper though. I was, 16 years old when it all happened, but the Pluto's demotion now. And honestly, after what happened, I was kind of upset. Like, I wasn't really angry about Pluto being demoted. I asked my mom, hey mom, was I upset? Or was I angry about, was I upset or angry about Pluto being demoted as a 16-year-old? Because I was like, I turned 16 in 2006. So, at the time all this happened, this crazy thing happened when I was like a, teenager back then. So yeah, I remember reading about it on the newspaper. I remember when I was at the bank though, and when we lived in U3 now. When you can probably see the back of my head that too. But yeah, you can see like the back of my head now. A little bit down, like on that in the video. But yeah, yeah, you can see like the back of my head now. But yeah, I guess it doesn't matter if I'm in the bathroom or not. But yeah, that's pretty cool. You get to see the back of my head now. I just plan to turn 5 o'clock. So yeah, I was like 16 years old when it happened on when Pluto was demoted on August of 2006 now. And I'm gonna be honest with you, with the viewers, I lost interest in astronomy for a long time. I actually got rid of my solar system model, my telescope I used to have, because I have like a telescope for my yeah, I turned 11 years old back in 2001. I was really interested in astronomy back in 2000 and 2001. I was like 9 to 10 years old. I was really into astronomy, and back in 2001 now. That was the year I got into astronomy, and I remember in Christmas of 2001. I actually, my dad bought me a telescope for Christmas of 2001, and I turned 11 back then, in July of 2001. And I remember I had a telescope for my 11th birthday. And I remember when I was in 4th grade, same year in 2001, but I had like a solar system model. I had all the 9 planets. I had all these. Yes, Pluto was on the model. Yes, it was on the model. And I remember I brought it to my mom and I were walking to school. I was in elementary school back then. I was in 4th grade. I remember I brought my solar system. My mom and I brought my solar system model to the class, and they had all the 9 planets on. It was pretty cool. But yeah, ever since what happened to Pluto, I got rid of the solar system model. I got rid of the telescope. It's almost like I just wasn't interested in learning about planets anymore. Like when I was 16, because I really didn't like what happened to Pluto now. And I asked my mom, hey mom, when Pluto was demoted in 2006, was I upset? She said, the funny thing is, she says I wasn't as upset about the demotion. Like, she says I wasn't upset about it at first now. But I remember one time, my mom says the part I was upset though, I wasn't angry now. But I wasn't exactly angry, my mom said, but I was upset that I went to the mall with my mom. It was like the, which mall was it? I think it was the, oh yeah, it was the Morristown Mall. I think it was like in New Jersey, because I live in New Jersey now. I think I remembered it was the Morristown Mall that we went to, and I looked at the poster, and it was like, there's no Pluto. It's not there anymore. It's like, there's no Pluto. It was like, I didn't like it. I'm gonna be honest with you folks. I didn't like it at all. I mean, like, I was so used to Pluto being next to Neptune now. And it's just not there anymore. I mean, like, it's just, And then, yeah, so basically for all these years, I lost interest in astronomy for a long time. And unfortunately for this year, like, I checked on the internet, is Pluto a planet in 2025? And I checked and it's still not a planet. But guess what? I'm going to make it Pluto a planet again. That's right. I'm going to be here. I'm not a scientist ever. But guess what? I'm going to make Pluto a planet again. I'm going to do it. Do you think I can do it now? I hope I can. I'm going to contact astronomers. Well, not astronomers. Neil Tyson. Forget about him. He ain't going to listen now. And forget about Neil Tyson. Don't get me wrong, I like Neil Tyson. He's a nice guy. I have something nice to say about Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a nice guy. He's got a great voice. Honestly, he's like, this is Star Talk. Okay, he's got a cool voice. But, no offense to Neil deGrasse Tyson. You're a nice dude to probably have a beer with, and I don't drink beer. I don't smoke. I don't vape. I don't mess with any of that. I never smoked. I never vaped. But if you hang out with Neil Tyson and you have some beers with him, like, he'll be a nice guy that has a beer with. But like, I feel like he's a nice person, but he's a very, very bad scientist. He's like, I watched him on YouTube back in, I remember it was 2017 now. That's a couple moment. Yeah, it was back in 2017, and I watched Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about Pluto, and he said that in one video. He said that Pluto is my favorite comet. I was like, a comet? Pluto ain't no comet. It's not a comet. Does it look like a comet though? No. He had to yell. It's kind of funny. He had the audacity to call Pluto, this planet right here, a comet. Does this look like a comet to you? No. You know why? You know why Pluto's on a comet, Neil? I checked to see if comets have moons. You know how Pluto has 5 moons? Well, 4 of them are not real. They don't look like moons as much, and then Sharon looks like a moon. But the other 4 moons don't really look like moons as much now. They're just like, But Pluto technically has 5 moons, but it has 1 spherical moon, Sharon. But if you count the other 4 moons, it's not spherical. That Pluto technically has 5 moons. It technically has 5 moons, but it really has 1 spherical moon. Like Sharon is the only spherical moon that Pluto has. But Pluto has 5 moons if you count those other 4 satellites. Then Pluto has 5 moons. And I'm thinking to myself, how could a non-planet have 5 moons? Think about that, Neil. A non-planet having 5 moons. And one of them is big. Sharon is pretty big. Sharon is a pretty big moon compared to, I mean, it's a small moon, but it's almost as big as Pluto is. It's a big moon compared, it's the biggest moon that Pluto has. But I'm thinking to myself, Neil Tyson, you call Pluto a comet and it has 5 moons. I'm thinking to myself, a non-planet having 5 moons. Does that make sense? No. Because I look to see if a comet has a moon. Now, asteroids do have, a few asteroids do have moons, like asteroid Ida. Asteroid Ida has a tiny moon named Dactyl, but do you see, Neil, do you see an asteroid with a big moon? Because I saw the picture in your Pluto Files book. I saw the picture of asteroid Ida, and you have the tiny moon named Dactyl, so you think it was Pluto must be an asteroid. Just because an asteroid has a moon, then Pluto must be an asteroid. Just because it has a moon, I'm thinking to myself, do you see an asteroid with a big moon? Nope. Neil Tyson, show me a picture of an asteroid with a big moon. Then if you can tell me that Pluto is an asteroid, but I don't think you can. Can you prove your point? Prove your point that Pluto is a comet or an asteroid? Because I don't think you can prove that, Neil. I don't think you can. Because I've never seen an asteroid with it. I have, for real now. And I don't mean that, I'm a very honest person now. As you may know, I'm a very honest person now. So but I have never seen an asteroid with a big moon. I've seen an asteroid with a moon, like asteroid Ida has dactyl. Okay, I've seen that one asteroid has a moon, but it's a tiny moon. I've never seen an asteroid before that has a big moon. No. Show me that, Neil. Show up. If you want to call Pluto a comet or an asteroid, show me a picture of an asteroid with a big moon. But can you find that, Neil? Can you find an asteroid with a bigger moon? I don't think so. And another thing too about that, it's almost like it's really weird to have that we have a separate category for planets now. Planet, dwarf planet. That's strange. That's even stranger when we do not have a separate, we don't have a separate category for moons. Like the spherical moons and the non-spherical moons, they're part of the same category. That's right. Well, they redefined a planet, but they have never redefined a moon. I mean, come on now. And then you're saying that Mars is Phobos and Deimos? They're moons? That, Mars has 2 small moons, Phobos and Deimos? Well, guess what? If Pluto was no longer a planet, then Phobos and Deimos, they're no longer moons. That's right. If you're going to say that Pluto's on a planet, then guess what? I'm not going to call them moons. Because it's really weird that you have a separate category for planets and dwarf planets, but you don't have a separate category for moons. And then I think of the non-spherical moons, like the non-spherical moons, they don't even look like moons, but yet they're classified as moons, even though they don't look like moons. The Phobos and Deimos, they do not look like moons, but they're still moons, even though they don't look like it. But Pluto looks like a planet. But it's really weird. You say that Pluto looks like a planet. You say that Pluto looks like a planet, but it's not a planet, even though it's round and spherical. So basically, a non-round object, a non-spherical object like Phobos and Deimos, the moons. A non-round object now, Phobos and Deimos, they're not round, but the moons. But Pluto is round, but it's still not a planet. But Pluto is round, but it's still not a planet. Now that doesn't make any sense. About Pluto not being a planet, it makes no sense to me. That's why, I don't believe about Pluto being a comet now. I never believed that because it sounds like a big lie now, and it is a big lie. Yeah, it's a big lie, man. And then people believe it too. People are like, they're going on, bandwagon, but I don't follow bandwagons. I like to think for myself now. As you may know, I like to think for myself. I like to think outside the box now. So yeah, I like to. But it's really weird, that we have a separate category for planets, but we don't with moons. It just makes having a separate category for planets. It doesn't make any sense now. That they should be part of the same category that Pluto should be. Eris and Ceres, all the dwarf planets. All the dwarf planets should be planets. Because that's why I agree. I agree with Alan Stern, Kirby Runyon, Phil Metzger. But I wonder if, honestly, I didn't always know about those guys. Alan Stern, Phil Metzger, and Kirby Runyon. I didn't always know about them. But I wanted Pluto to be a planet for a long time now. Even when Pluto was removed from the poster in 2006, guess what? I was like, what's Pluto? I wanted it to be a planet. On the same year it was demoted in 2006, I wanted it to be a planet when I was 16. I wanted Pluto to be a planet ever since it was first demoted. Ever since it was first demoted, I wanted it to be a planet again. So, yeah. And before I end the video, I'm trying to make the video less than 20 minutes long now. Or definitely less than 30. I don't want to make a 30-minute video talking about Pluto now. But if I have more to say that didn't talk about the video, I'll probably follow up with another video if there's anything that didn't talk about in this video. But one more thing I want to say now, I think that not everyone knows this, so a couple of videos I put on my YouTube channel, I compared Pluto to Saturn and to Mercury and so far. Oh yeah, guess what, person? I found the biggest proof that Pluto is still the ninth planet. You know what? If I can compare it to a big planet, like a tiny planet, a dwarf planet, to a tiny planet. a dwarf planet to a giant planet. This right here. If I can compare Pluto to Saturn, then Pluto is a planet. Oh yeah, Neil Tyson, did you know that Mike Brown thinks that Pluto should have never been classified with the 8 planets on? This should have never been classified with the 8 planets on? Well, guess what, Mike Brown? You didn't know this, you made a book called How I Killed Pluto and Why I Had It Coming? I bought your books too. I bought them too, the Pluto Files book and How I Killed Pluto by Mike Brown and Neil Tyson's Pluto Files book. Yeah, I bought those books. And I read them. I didn't read all the pages out, but I read some parts of it though. But one thing I don't agree with Mike Brown, that, should have never been, that Pluto should have never been classified with the 8 planets. Well, Mike Brown and Neil Tyson, didn't you know that Mercury is the most Pluto-like planet? Yeah, should have never been classified with the 8 planets, but Mercury is the most Pluto-like planet. Did you know that? Because Mercury and Pluto, they're both small planets. Well, Mercury is bigger than Pluto. Well, I know that Mercury is still bigger than Pluto. But they're both small planets that have thinner atmospheres. Most of the planets have thicker atmospheres, but Mercury and Pluto are the only ones. Mercury and Pluto, they're the only planets that have a thin atmosphere. So yeah, I have more examples in my Mercury and Pluto video though. And for Saturn and Pluto too. If I can compare Saturn to Pluto, then Pluto is a planet now. Because Saturn is the king of the rings. Saturn is the king of the rings, right? And Pluto is the king of the Kuiper Belt. They both have the king title, that Pluto is the king of the Kuiper Belt. And Saturn is the king of the rings. And another thing that Saturn has in common with Pluto, I talked about this over and over and over again, that how Pluto's tilted orbit, matches up with Saturn's tilted rings. How cool is that? That was really, really cool how Pluto's tilted orbit. The Pluto's tilted orbit matches with Saturn's tilted rings. Has Neil Tyson ever thought about that, Mike Brown? Nah, you guys are not experts. No. I can tell you guys are not experts. And you guys think you're experts now? No. You guys are not experts. Neil Tyson and Mike Brown. You guys are nice people. They have beers with you, even though I don't drink, smoke. You guys, if you want to have people have beers with them, that's fine. They're nice people to hang out with. And do I like them? Yeah, as people, but they're bad scientists. But it's really, really cool how Pluto's orbit. It's pretty cool how Pluto's orbit matches with Saturn's rings. Can you find out anyone in the solar system? Uranus has tilted rings too, kind of like Saturn now. It's kind of similar, Uranus kind of has a similar to Saturn now. But Saturn's rings, matches with Pluto's tilted orbit now. But Uranus is at a different angle now, Uranus's rings is different than Saturn's, but it's pretty cool when you pair it up, Saturn and Pluto. That Pluto's tilted rings. Tilted rings. No, Pluto doesn't have rings. Oops. I made the Pluto's orbit. Pluto's orbit matches up with Saturn's tilted rings. Yeah. That Pluto's orbit matches with Saturn's tilted rings. Does Neil Tyson ever see that? No. Did Mike Brown ever see that? Probably not. I could be wrong about that. They've never seen it. None of that. But you guys don't compare. You guys do not compare Pluto to the other 8 planets. That's you guys wouldn't know if you don't compare. I need not compare. So yeah. And in other areas, how Mercury is like Pluto too. Other than how Mercury is like Pluto. Other than their atmospheres being thin and the small planets, they both have a Mercury and Pluto. They both have a Mercury and Pluto. They both have a Mercury and Pluto, but they both have a common. they have a 3-2 orbital resonance. Yeah, you guys know that damn place, and you know that Pluto has it. You know how Pluto has a 3-2 orbital resonance, a 3-2 orbital resonance. Well, guess what? A 3-2 orbital resonance, if I'm saying that correctly. But guess what? Mercury has that too. And did you imagine how Pluto is tidally locked? But guess what? Pluto is tidally locked. Mercury has the same thing. So guess what? Before I end the video, Pluto is the new Mercury. That's what the last thing I'm going to say. That Pluto is the new Mercury. That Pluto is the new Mercury. All right, peace. Oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna make Pluto great again. That's right. We're gonna make Pluto the ninth planet again. We're gonna make Pluto great again. Peace.